We're on?
We're on.
We're on, for real?
This is our drop.
Oh.
He just dropped
They
it.
just dropped.
Like, here you go. Welcome,
Oh.
everybody.
Let me set up myself proper then, right? Sure. Greetings upon greetings upon greetings.
We're back. Yay. Brand new brand. Welcome, guys.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome to A Better Tomorrow with Here to Help You. And of course, it's me, Simone Jennifer Smith, alongside my co-host,
Dave Rankin.
That's it?
Yep, that's it. Yeah.
Okay, guys, so we're mad late today. I blame everyone but me for this situation. But we have a good show for you guys. So let's talk a little bit about why we're doing this, where we've been. I'm going to question Mr. Dave on how things have been with him since this is all post-COVID now, right? We'll get to you in a second.
Post?
To me, it's post.
Okay.
I'm back at work, so it's post.
Okay, fine.
All right.
All right.
COVID-19, of course, has changed the way all of us live our lives. And for people in the media space, things have drastically changed as well, which is why we decided to start doing this, to change things up from how we used to do our educational program. Here to help you. Mind you, go back and check some of those videos out.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of good stuff there.
Yes.
Better Tomorrow is here to offer a different narrative in a time where many feel that their voices are not heard through this clutter of political correctness, transformative rhetoric. You like those type of words, eh, Dave?
That's pretty good.
And a general disregard for objectivity, because we know right now that's happening in large doses through this media space, right? So much of what we read may be written with a particular bias, and I want you guys to remember that. And the reason we're doing this show is we are going to provide you with another source of news that you can actually have instead of doing all that mainstream CNN, Fox, because I'm telling you now, they only show you one side. And our show, we're going to always show you both sides, or at least the other side sometimes, what you're seeing there. So let's talk about fake news. So we have a new production manager. So we're going to have to, work with him through this situation. I never had to do this stuff before.
Big up yourself, my youth. How you mean?
Work with him. So let's do, if you could just throw out my fake news scandal pick there, Mr. Production Manager.
Reality created?
No. Fake news scandal. See when you have a newbie, brethren? Oh, my Lord. This is going to be, guys, this is going to be a task, okay? All right. One has to remember that with disinformation and propaganda, there is always a larger agenda. And this is what we have to be aware of, not only as media personalities, but also as consumers, okay? What do they want you to think or believe? Always think about that. Media literacy, which is something that you and I did, I think last year we did a show on media literacy,
yes.
Misinformation and disinformation.
Right.
So media literacy is the ability to access, analyze, evaluate, and create media. Being media literate allows you to better understand some of the complex messages that we are receiving. And of course, where are we getting these from? Television, radio, social media. You have to be able, newspapers. You have to be able to sift through all that. So that's what we're doing now. Thank you for bringing up newspapers, Dave. What we've done now is we are now combining Toronto Caribbean newspaper and my TCN TV network into one nice compacted little bubble of information for you guys. And I'm going to be presenting, A Better Tomorrow, that's my column in the Toronto Caribbean newspaper, but it's more of an editorial type thing. The stuff that we're going to be presenting is all journalistic reports, things that are happening in the world. Just want to make sure you guys know exactly what you're getting into when you're watching our show. Okay, yes, sir. Can you put up the reality created, please? There's some questions I want you guys to think about and to know while we're going through this. All media messages are constructed. It's very important that you know this. All media are constructed using their own set of rules. The rules change depending on if you're radio, television, social media. Different people will have different reactions to the same media message. This is where we encourage you to respectfully voice your opinions and leave comments under the video sometimes. And of course, we're going to ask you to like, share, and subscribe to my TCN TV network. Okay?
For sure. We always welcome, everybody who's out there.
We want you,
tuning
we
in,
hear you.
whether it's positive or constructive. But I mean, go ahead,
There's
throw it
probably
out
going
there.
to be some people who just, people always
It is
have
what it
something to
is.
say, but we're going to welcome it anyways. We're not going to turn it away. Say what you have to say,
For
right? Media are typically produced by businesses that want to earn money. That's a very, very important element. When you guys are watching things, always think about the objective of some of these people, especially some of these larger mainstream medias. And media has embedded values and points of view. Always. Always, especially with mainstream, they always have a point of view that they're trying to push. Agreed?
Agreed.
So without any further delay, let's jump right into our very first story. So it's actually the cover story for the Toronto Caribbean newspaper this week. What we're going to do today is I'm going to be giving you little bits and pieces from the article, but I definitely say go and check out the article. It's on the Facebook page right now. It's also out in circulation. It's our first week back in circulation, guys.
Yes,
Yay.
for sure.
So you can get it at a few different places. Also, it's available on a platform called Issue. Again, you can find the link on our Facebook page. And of course, visit the website to find all these articles, okay? So the death of George Floyd has brought about a unity throughout the world that we've never seen. Would you not agree, Dave?
I agree.
So after watching his cruel and cryptic exit from the world, a lot of protests ignited all over the place. Mm-hmm. Now, there's a video I have of a peaceful protest there. Mr. Production Manager, if you could throw that up for me, please. No, peaceful protests. Wow, guys. No. How about this? How about we play the video? Yes. Play us that peaceful protest video, please.
There's only two. There's a protest with that. What does it look like?
Yes, that one, please. This guy. A lot of Miss Mercy. First day back.
Serious. Oh my goodness.
You watch the TV news.
We got a little bit of a fire breaking out on the left here.
And you're like, oh my goodness, all the protests are riots.
Vandalizing.
Fires have been started.
Things got out of control. And
we're not going to pay attention to the protesters in a city that has been racked by this violence. Who are marching peacefully and chanting names.
George Floyd! George Floyd! George Floyd! George Floyd! George Floyd!
Which is going to get more attention? A group of 35 people standing, chanting names, singing songs, doing the Cupid shuffle, as I saw one group of protesters doing, or 5 people on the ground bleeding and screaming and crying and throwing rocks. Our press is driven by eyeballs and attention and clicks and advertising and passion and raising the anxiety of viewers.
Dramatic images are...
So as you can see, for most of the part, the protests were very peaceful. But there has been some speculation to how mainstream media has been presenting these protests. Obviously, they've been showing a lot of the extremes, some of the stuff that you've been seeing, the violence, the societal tension, the upheaval, especially in George Floyd's hometown in Minneapolis. There's a picture that I wanted. See? Now, there have been some strange events, though, documented during this crisis that I kind of want to bring up and talk about.
Okay, go for it.
So, Dave, did you hear about this whole BRICS situation?
Yeah, apparently the opposition, as I'm going to call them, will go ahead and actually laying out piles and piles of bricks.
Yeah, they were popping up, I believe, in Washington, in Minnesota, just random bricks. And obviously, people were saying, there's been a lot of fact checkers that are like, oh, it's not, this is not bricks for anything. This is just, there's a construction site. People are like, no, there's no construction anywhere. What are you talking about?
Right.
So again, there's something that's being pushed, and then there's the truth, and we're going to get to that. So while I was researching the story, actually, I'm going to give him this. It was Mr. Grant Browning who contacted someone who was actually on the ground during this.
Okay.
He experienced the whole thing. His name is Andrew Mercado. I have a picture of him as well as some other key people there. So keep this picture up for a second. So he was connected to some of the very key people involved in some of these protests, and I'm talking about the peaceful protests in Minneapolis. So he is a citizen journalist who has been covering riots in the Minneapolis area, and in our short but very insightful session, he shared what he'd experienced and highlighted things that the mainstream media was not talking about. So there's a few things that I'm going to speak about that popped up in a couple different conversations that I had, because I spoke to 3 different people, actually 4 people, who were in these protests, involved in it 100%. One thing that he did share, and this is a quote from him directly, The whole time I witnessed a fire was being set. Sorry, the only time that I witnessed a fire being set was actually by a white man. And there's this Popeyes that burnt down. And he's like, you know what, Simone? It's not black people who were setting fires. It was white people who were setting the fires.
Okay.
So I want you to keep that in mind, okay? Also, Corey Moore, who was the gentleman, if you put that picture back up again, Grant, I want them to see who Corey Moore is. He's standing beside Andrew, and he was another face. So he's the one in the, I can't see what's on his shirt because I'm blind, but in the black shirt with the red markings on it, that's
Okay.
Corey Moore.
Okay.
So he actually made a plea to the governor in Minneapolis, and he said, I plead to the governor, stop trying to govern us. Govern the police department. All that craziness that they're showing on TV, we are out here taking care of each other. People are bringing food for each other. It went from being a war zone to a safe zone in 24 hours.
Okay.
That's not what they were showing,
No, of course not.
right? So when we come back, what we're actually going to do is I'm going to introduce you guys to 2 more people who were involved with this whole thing. A young lady named Simone will actually come back in with a video with her showing her view on it.
All right.
And then we're going to jump into some other stories that I think Dave has for us. So we'll see you very soon on A Better Tomorrow.
Y'all, I went to my car is safe. Hold on. My bad, you guys. This is currently what is going on. This is not the only place. Literally, there's this. Wendy's was on fire too. AutoZone was on fire. They literally have set so many places on fire at the moment. I don't know if it's the National Guard or SWAT, whichever one. They have officially arrived and are going to start arresting people, I guess. Literally, whole building on fire. Walking through that, I'm telling you guys, it was scary. I literally had to walk past the fire myself just to get through, just so I can get to my car. This is really insane. This is seriously insane right now. Yes.
That's wild. It's very wild.
They're not showing everything, and that's the problem. Like, yeah, the burning we saw on mainstream, but what we didn't know, like I'd said in the last segment, if you're just joining us, that a lot of the chaos was not being caused by the community members or the citizens. And I'm not saying everybody, but majority of the people in Minnesota or in Minneapolis,
Okay.
the communities were peaceful. And I
Okay.
got this from people who were actually on the ground. All of that you're seeing right there, that's being set by people who are not even from the city. They're not even from there,
Okay.
right? So things that people need to understand, it's not always what you see. So I actually had an opportunity to speak to Simone and her manager, Tazari. For those who don't know who she is, there she is, yeah. So Simone is the organizer behind the fundraiser Encouraging Leaders, as well as the We Can't Breathe movement. Definitely check out their website, wecan'tbreathe.org. And she said something that was very reminiscent to what Andrew said. In her quote exactly, there's footage of white supremacist groups smashing out windows. they're actually the ones who are responsible for the destruction of the police station. So everyone heard about that. You heard about how that police station got
Actually,
destroyed?
I was kind of like, all right, that's a strategy I can get behind. Burn down the police station.
We're going to pretend Dave didn't say that.
What? We can't be truthful?
Dave.
What?
You can't say that, though, guys.
I can't say that.
Not on national social media television.
Social media
Oh, my
television.
God.
As long as no police officer inside the building.
Wow, guy. That's better. You add that as a disclaimer. So millions of people have demonstrated mainly peacefully across the United States, Canada, and the globe. How about we take a moment and think about the fact that, you know what, for once we saw a lot of people uniting together.
Yeah.
Instead of all the chaos that mainstream media was actually showing us.
I'm a firm believer that racism cannot be eliminated just by one culture alone. It needs everybody. And
Absolutely. Absolutely. I do agree. And believe me, we're about to face even a bigger crisis. You see all this hoopla that's happening right now? There are things happening under the radar. And I'm going to let Dave handle that. Let's talk vaccines for a second, Dave.
Sure. So reports out of CBC told us the following this past couple weeks. So Trudeau, he's making his push to make sure that a vaccine is shared among everybody.
Well, that's
right?
so nice of him.
Right. So he in fact delivered a message at his third international summit in a week. Right. Canada is campaigning also to go along with the summit. They're campaigning for an actual seat on the UN, right, on the UN board, security side of things,
Okay.
right, which means that they would literally have an actual top position and actually repositioning everybody to build after the crisis.
Okay.
Right, so whether it's, of course, monetization, whether it's now, of course, in this case, vaccination as well, right, they're looking, of course, to be that global leader. Right.
Okay.
As he stated later on in the article, as a global community, we must work together to make sure that people around the world have access to vaccinations, especially the most vulnerable, Trudeau said. So it should not come as a shock to anyone that our health of our citizens depend on the health of everyone everywhere. Now, with this summit now, there were about 50 different countries, members from different countries, major organizations, as well as Bill and Melinda Gates. Now, anybody who didn't hear the news this past week, there is an interview on Time Magazine where Melinda Gates stated the following, right? After those who were considered to be essential workers, right, in the hospitals, she said Black people were the next set of people to go ahead and who should be next in line to receive the vaccination.
Can I stop you for a second?
Go ahead.
Why?
Why?
Why are Black people next people to get vaccinated for? Why us? Why are we the guinea pigs for some vaccine that's clearly not been tested long enough?
Well, I mean, you know what? They're going after numbers.
Oh,
right?
They're going after numbers.
Right, they're going after numbers, which is very interesting. Definitely. However, though, of course, it's Time Magazine. You can't miss it. It's definitely one of the latest upheavals on social media this past week. But I find it very interesting that since when you look at Gavi, Gavi, which is the global alliance for vaccination as well as immunization, Bill and Melinda Gates, they actually founded the company back in 1999. Canada, in fact, has just pledged, $600 million over 5 years, right? Bill and Melinda Gates as well as donated or pledged $1.6 billion over the next 5 years as well. So there's a lot of money being pumped into, of course, the Gavi right now to make sure that, this agenda is being pushed
that Black
through.
people get vaccinated.
Well, not just, but everybody, right?
Us first.
In the States, right? I found this very interesting as well. This is tying with the whole vaccination thing. Look up Bill 11. Anybody out there, please look up Bill 11.
Bill 11.
Right? Basically what it is this. It's a push to have children vaccinated, right? In the province of New Brunswick without anything pertaining to the Constitution, which would go ahead and block this. So for instance now, religious reasons.
So you can't use religion to say that you can't get vaccinated?
Right.
Interesting.
Right. So I mean, this was a push later on this week, So let's get some names out there just to make sure, of course, our viewers out there are very much aware of who these people are.
Okay.
Educational Minister Dominic Carty. I believe we should have a picture of him.
Yeah, we do have a picture of him there.
Cool. Right. So he introduced a bill that would have mandatory vaccinations in schools. Right. This, in fact, would eliminate all non-medical exemptions to the requirement of the vaccinations, including religious and philosophical grounds. So that's Mr. Carty. Right.
Okay.
Liberal leader Kevin Vickers, and I think we have a picture of him as well. He said earlier this past week, that his party remains concerned about the preemptive suspension of charter rights and will try to amend the bill to take off the clause. Right. So basically, they're looking to go ahead and actually change the language in the bill. Right. So now, it doesn't be so offensive. Right. But still, of course, it can go ahead and slide through. Right.
Are Black people still getting vaccinated first?
Well, that's in the States, darling. That's in the States.
Okay.
Right?
Just checking.
Remember, Bill 11 is only dealing with New Brunswick, right? And the only reason why we're pulling up in regards to what's happening right now, right, is that, remember, these people, they like to go and test in small spaces, right? And if it happens in small spaces, generally speaking, the trend will happen, of course, in larger spaces.
Right.
Right? Because, of course, to control the many is the same thing as to control the small, right? One gentleman, in fact, I have to go ahead and pick up this gentleman, right? Bruce Northrup, he's actually a member of the PC side of things, right? He fought against it. He says that he doesn't see any way that he will go in and change his mind in the bill, which would eliminate all non-medical exemptions to the requirement of the vaccinations, including, of course, what you said before, religious and philosophical grounds.
Got it.
Right? So, I mean, we have to go ahead and make sure, those who are out there who are actually opposing the bill, we have to make sure that, of course, they are highlighted.
Right.
Right? Now, this is not to say that they're not going out to go ahead and change the language, because that's exactly what they're looking to do right now. Amend it and bring it back to the table in the province of New Brunswick. Right? However, though, it's very scary in regards to what's to come. By means, for those of us who are looking for our rights, Vaccine Choice Canada has exemption forms.
Okay, so
right?
we can exempt if we want to from
currently,
okay,
right? Because of the Constitution, right? We have the right to go ahead and say no
to the vaccine.
Yes.
Wonderful.
Right.
That's good to hear.
In fact, it states that unlike some countries, immunization is not mandatory in Canada.
Beautiful.
It cannot be made mandatory because of the Canadian Constitution, right? I'll leave it there, right? Because, I mean, of course, by means of those who want to go ahead and read more, please jump onto their website. It's very apparent, especially in this time and age, that we all know our rights.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And not just, of course, Africans here in the diaspora, right? We'd have to make sure that, of course, everybody along the lines knows our rights, because it has affected everybody from all cultures.
So actually talking about rights, I will say this. So because we are merging TCN and Toronto Caribbean newspaper together, a person you should definitely check out, Nana. She does our legal section, Nana Poco. She does our legal section in Toronto Caribbean newspaper, and she does a lot of talk. She does a lot of work on rights. Mm-hmm. She actually did one last edition on knowing your rights as a young Black man when you're stopped.
Right.
And she did that because she wanted to make sure that young Black men know how to act when they are in front of a police officer. Mm-hmm. So things like your Constitution, if you have any questions like that, check her out. Check out her articles. And then, of course, you can send her an email, connect with her if you have any questions about this at all. And yeah, thanks, Dave, for that. And if you're in Canada and you're Black, you're not going to get immunized first. That's a bonus. I'm just saying, so we can exempt and we're not going to get Jook up first. Is that not a good thing?
Well, for now.
Happy Friday. All right, guys. When we come back, we're actually going to get into a little bit of a more community-based topic, not as broad spread and talking about riots or vaccines anymore. We're going to talk about buying Black and what that looks like. We'll see you guys soon on A Better Tomorrow.
They'll buy from anyone who wants to sell to them. But we all know that before you can sell to customers, you've got to get to know them. You must understand something about them. What do the Negro customers buy? Why do they buy? How do you sell to them? Let's find out. Let's hear the opinion of men who have spent a lifetime studying the buying habits of customers the world over. Here is what sales psychologists have to say about selling to the Negro.
The secret of selling to the Negro is expressed in one word. That word is recognition. Now, there's nothing unusual about that. People want to be recognized. They need recognition. That's basic in all of us. But perhaps because he's had so little of it, the Negro needs even more. He needs to feel important and appreciated. This need is a very real and important one. It shows up even in many of the Negro's shopping habits.
Welcome back, everyone, to A Better Tomorrow. If you are just joining us, you've missed the first half, but it's okay. It's the great thing about social media. You can just go back and check it out. Today on A Better Tomorrow, we are diving deep into a lot of the things that they're not showing you on mainstream media. And we're also talking about our merge with MyTCN TV network and Toronto Caribbean newspaper. So we're actually going to bring up another article. So this is a little bit more community-based.
Okay.
I'm curious to see what people have to say about that. That video, How to Sell a Negro, I would definitely recommend everybody check out that video that was showing. If you are on my Instagram watching it right now, same thing. Check out that video on YouTube, How to Sell to a Negro. Very important, especially with what I'm about to talk about right now. So I wrote an article in the edition that came out this week.
Okay.
And the title of it, if you're looking for it, because I'm not going to go into too many details, I do want you guys to check it out yourself, is You Want Me to Buy Black, Treat Me Better. How to Improve the Black Buying Experience. So I have a single statement that I started off the article with, and it was, I would love to support Black businesses, but... What I'd like for you guys to do is, if anyone has ever started a sentence like that, finish it off in our comments below. I would love to support Black businesses, but... Have you heard that line before, Dave?
Yes.
Yes. And I wonder why. This week, I got a call, actually, and then I got a message from a young lady in the community who reached out to me because she said, Simone, you're always talking about buying Black. You're always talking about investing back into the community. But she was really annoyed and actually bothered at the fact that she wants to, and she actually tried. In the last few weeks, she's been making an effort to buy Black.
Okay.
And her experience was horrible. So she said, Simone, can we talk about this? Can we really highlight the fact that as much as we may want to buy Black, sometimes people who are Black business owners make it very difficult for us? Okay, so more than ever, there's this push to buy Black. Buying Black has always been at the center of the fight for civil rights. There are some outspoken community activists who say that integration is what has actually hurt Black businesses. Dave is one of those people. I'm calling you out. When we integrated, that's when all that went out the window.
Yeah, there was a sense of dependency mode, which came into place as soon as we became intermingled.
We became dependent.
Yes.
Okay.
Very much.
So I want you guys to think about some questions while I'm talking about this, and definitely when you're reading the article. So question number one is, why don't we support Black businesses? Again, you can go back to that initial statement. I would love to support Black businesses, but... And you can answer that, okay? Is there a lack of trust? Do we unconsciously think that Black is inferior?
Okay.
Especially Black products, okay? Do we have an unconscious bias against our own?
Okay.
All right? And do we actually lack professionalism in some cases? Okay?
Okay.
So I want to note that in some cases, with some of these complaints against Black business owners, it has nothing to do with their race or nationality. And I made point of this in the article. Okay, it has to do with the fact that if you are a new entrepreneur and you're just starting a business, regardless of if you're Black, white, Asian, doesn't matter. Sometimes, most of the times, you're wearing 1,000 hats. Okay?
Okay.
And when you're wearing 1,000 hats, something's going to fall through. And that's why sometimes some of these business owners are just not doing well because they're trying to do everything. So I want to put that out as a way of just saying, we need to be aware of that. People are calling me down in the middle of my show. I don't understand what's going on. Okay, so now in saying this, there is still no excuse for bad business practices. In the article, I actually go through some of the major complaints held by Black-owned business shoppers and provide them some solutions that will assist in helping correct that. Because really and truly, I do want us investing back in our community. But there needs to be, let's be real. We go into a Jamaican shop. Most times, more times, people are back there looking well miserable. Customer service is key. If you had a bad day, you argue with your man, him cheat on you, whatever the case might be, fix your face. That's not the customer's problem. Take that shit elsewhere, okay? That's just real. Sorry, I was getting a little bit too aggressive, eh?
Well, I hear the passion in you.
No, and some Jamaican restaurants, not just Jamaican, this is some West Indian restaurants. I'm just going to say Jamaican. Some West Indian restaurants, when you go there, they have a whole menu of stuff, and they don't have anything. They'll have one thing on the entire menu. Tell people that, so that we're not sitting here trying to decide on things so you can tell us you don't have it.
Basically, what it comes down to is shaping our inappropriate behaviors towards ourselves.
Yes.
Right. I mean, it's we have to treat each other better.
We have to.
Right? That's the only way we're going to survive.
Absolutely. So check out that article, guys. Tell me what you guys think about that. Okay, go ahead, Dave. I know we're talking about this big, long name, because when you first read it to me, I had to have you read it to me a few times. But let's talk about it.
All right. So yesterday, the city of Brampton, the council has now released a new initiative. All right. So at this meeting yesterday, Brampton City Council launched the city's first ever Black, African, and Caribbean social, cultural, and economic empowerment and anti-Black racism unit to take meaningful action against anti-Black racism. Little preemptive on the picture there, big guy, but we'll get there in a moment, right?
He thinks he's all special now because he put up a couple pictures on time, eh?
Stop it.
Calm down.
Stop it.
All right, go ahead.
All right, we can't show division in the studio, baby. So, guided by Brampton's diverse Black, African, and Canadian diaspora, this unit will establish priorities in an action plan that eradicates systematic anti-Black racism in Brampton and uplifts the social, cultural, and economic position of the Black community. Right. Of course, the name's a really long mouthful. I truly believe that they were trying to include everybody in this group here.
Say the name, guy.
I know, right? Black, African, and Caribbean social, cultural, and economic empowerment and anti-Black racism unit.
I want to see what the acronym for that is. There must be. Have you tried the acronym for that? It doesn't work out into a word?
Stop it. I'm not doing that.
Okay. All right.
Right. So I'm not sure, regards to how quickly they will start. However, though, for the city of Brampton, by means, if this is going to lead towards, number one, economic equality, right, and more importantly, if it's going to lead to better relations between all cultures here, may it be, of course, the model that a few other cities or neighboring cities can go ahead and adapt to, right, in the near future. So those of us who do need or want to go ahead and ask a little bit more questions regarding the group and regards to what they will be leading towards, direction, that is, anti-Black racism unit at brampton.ca. That is the email that they will be fielding in all inquiries. Now, we can go back to the picture for Miss Charmaine Williams, your Idrin.
Yeah, man. Go on with it.
Yes, so she had a quote in of course, the press release, and her quote was the following. This motion was supported unanimously by the council. The message is clear and unambiguous. Black Lives Matter and systematic racism will be confronted by all levels of the city of Brampton. While I am proud to be a member of the city council that took divisive and historic action, the work has just begun.
Absolutely.
Right? So, I mean, it is important that by means, things are being laid on the table and things are being discussed openly, especially here in the city.
Yes.
Like I said before, if this is going to lead to a better relationships between all cultures, right, and more importantly, economic equality, then by means let it be a model for everybody else to go ahead and adapt to.
Say the name one more time of the organization.
No, just email them at anti-Black racism unit at brampton.ca. Don't do it.
I want to just hear it.
Don't do it.
I want to hear the whole name again.
No, I know you do. It's in your notes, so you can read it.
All right, I'm going to read it one more time, so in case you guys missed it. I don't know what your problem is. You're supposed to be delivering news.
I did, and you over there trying to make light. Anti-Black Racism Unit at Brampton.ca. That is the email address by means. Go ahead and hit them up.
So it's called the Black, African, and Caribbean Social, Cultural, and Economic Empowerment and Anti-Black Racism Unit. That's all I wanted to say. I wanted them to just know the whole name. Make that into an...
I'd stop it.
Okay.
Stop it. We already gave them the email address.
Okay, so you guys... I was just...
Yes, you were.
Okay. So when we come back, I'm not going to be sharing with you guys. So each week, or every edition, in the Toronto Caribbean newspaper, we feature a business, we feature a woman of power or woman empowered, and a classic man. So we take members in the community who are doing great things, who have done great things, who are Caribbean, African descent, and we highlight them, talk about the great things they've done. So when we come back, we're going to talk about our woman empowered and classic man right here on A Better Tomorrow. Really cool. Welcome, guys. Welcome back to A Better Tomorrow. From here to help you. Sorry, I forgot where I was for a second. Wow. Dave, you okay?
I'm absolutely fine.
What are you doing?
I'm looking at the Facebook page right now and see what's happening.
Okay.
Yes.
Welcome back, guys. So if you're just joining us, this is our very first official A Better Tomorrow. We are hoping that we're going to have more of the Toronto Caribbean newspaper journalists or contributors joining us to be doing something, reporting news, talking about some of the stuff that they're writing about. But to start, it's just me, of course, chief reporter, alongside my co-host and also African history writer, Mr. Dave Rankin.
Over here. Big up yourself.
All right. So if you're just joining us, you've missed actually a pretty packed show. Hope you guys get a chance to go back and take a look at it. Of course, you can go back to the YouTube and, of course, the Facebook Live once we are finished. And don't forget to like, comment, and share. We want to hear from you. Not only do we want to hear your opinions, we also want to get some news from you guys as well. So anything you think is worth talking about, and I don't want it to be mainstream. We want to hear things that are not mainstream. Definitely hit me up, Simone at carib101.com and Dave at carib101.com. All right, Women Empowered and Classic Man. So these are two features that we do in the Toronto Caribbean newspaper. And I think I'm going to highlight our classic man first because a lot of people know him. He's a very popular man.
The good doctor.
The good doctor vibe, Mr. Ed Gao, better known to us as Dr. Vibe. So, yes. Born to Jamaican parents in Oshawa, Ontario, Dr. Vibe grew up in a loving two-parent home. His parents' love story is one for the books. So he actually shares that, and he goes into detail in the article. But I'll give you guys a little bit. So both his parents, they kind of knew each other. They were dating back home in Jamaica. Okay. And then they both went off to school. His dad actually is a graduate of Cornwall College.
Oh, wow.
Of College for the Boys. Mm-hmm. And he went to Howard University.
Amazing.
Right? So his mom went to Europe, to the UK to study.
Okay.
And his dad took the bus from Howard University all the way to Niagara Falls, and then took a bus from Niagara Falls to Oshawa. And you have to understand, back then, we're not talking about how it is now. back then, when I'm sure this probably took like 18 days to do it, because
Right.
they had to go by horse. No?
Said bus and not horse. I get it.
Okay. It took a long time.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And they got married and had Mr. Vibe.
Okay.
Yay. So he actually, I learned some stuff about him. Did you know that he is actually the man behind a compilation put together by the Universal Artists. He used to work for Universal Records.
Okay.
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 There is a compilation with Jodeci, Aaron Hall. This is dating, guys. If you're back from like our time, you know these people. Guy, Mary J. Blige, everyone knows her. Soul For Real, and Monifa. He was responsible for the entire compilation, the layout, the look, the songs, the licensing, everything.
Oh wow.
So when it first came out in 1996, it had, I believe it sold 10,000 records.
Okay.
Now, to us, 10,000 now, we're just like, But 10,000 in 1996 is a big deal, right?
Yeah.
So he actually got his name. This is just a fun fact. He got his name at a Christmas party when he was at Universal. There was a man named Stuart Smith who came up to him. He was dancing. So Dr. Vibe was jamming, doing his thing, right? And a man came up to him and said, "You have the vibe, man. You are Dr. Vibe." That's how he got his name.
Okay. Interesting.
Right. So in the article, I don't want to go because I want you guys to read it. He actually shares a traumatic experience about when he was held up at gunpoint.
Okay.
And why it was so traumatic. Because obviously it was by a young black man. And he didn't like the fact that it was trauma in a lot of senses because not only was he held at gunpoint for 3 hours, he also had to testify against this young man in court. And he's like, I didn't want to have to do that, but I had no choice.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I thought that was an interesting story. If you have an opportunity, you can check out Dr. Vibe on iTunes, Twitter, Facebook, Stitcher, never know what that is.
Yeah.
Radio,
podcast platform.
Google Play, iHeartRadio, and of course YouTube. So read that article, check out his show. Actually, I'll be on his show in a few weeks, but we won't talk about that now. Next, I have a woman who I am girl crushing on. I won't even lie. She is absolutely beautiful. Her name is Chef Daniela Abraham, and she has been linked with A-list clientele. Let's name off some of the names. So Pharrell Williams, Pitbull, Oprah Winfrey, Kylie Jenner, Drake, Antonio Banderas, Diddy, Sierra, Russell Wilson, and DJ Khaled. And you know what she's done for them? Cooked. This girl can throw down. So she has sometimes had to go to lengths. This picture I put up here because one of her billionaire clients actually wanted her to cook everything fresh. So they were on a yacht and she had to actually go and dive for the food that they wanted.
Really?
And cook everything fresh. They didn't want anything that was not fresh.
So she actually went into the sea.
Like a mermaid and dived, man, to find them food and cook it up.
Okay.
That's how dedicated she is to her craft, okay? So whether it's her famous Chanel pancakes, so she has these pancakes, I should have got that picture, but it's pancakes with like a drip and it has the Chanel thing on it for all her fancy dancy clients.
Okay.
And she actually has a filet mignon that's covered in edible 24 karat gold.
Interesting.
Guy, could you imagine? But I told her, I'm coming to Miami because I want me some filet mignon 24 karat gold steak. I don't know how that would taste, but it sounds yummy and I want some of it. So out of respect, speaking with her was an amazing experience. There's actually a part of her story that I didn't tell in the article only because she's writing a book about it. And it's something that happened to her during her youth. Very traumatic situation. But it just goes to show you, and this is what I love about her, is that through any situation, doesn't matter what it is, you can rise above and do great things. And I mean, her story is it's pretty messed up, actually. Like, she had a really traumatic childhood. She went through something that we hear about in movies, right? And she experienced it and grew through it. And now she's living a life with the stars, so.
You know, it reminds me of a saying that it's not always the starting in life.
It's how you finish.
There you go.
It's always how you finish. Always how you finish. So guys, I hope you guys have enjoyed the show thus far. This is our very first one, so it's been a little bit choppy. We'll get better at it. It's been a while, guys. It's been like 3 months since we did this.
For real.
I think we did pretty good for coming back after 3 months. Like, good Lord.